On March 21st, the UN's International Holiday will focus on xenophobia and related intolerance. With an increasingly diverse Danvers High population, it is vital we continue to discuss these issues.
Danvers High School currently has 2 full-time staff members of color. 2. As a district, we have 9 full-time staff members of color over the 7 schools.
As for students, 14.3% are people of color, 27% less than the state's average. While we can't do much to bring in diversity, we can change how we talk about it.
Microaggressions are the most common way racism is normalized in our society. They are a statement, action, or incident regarded as an instance of indirect, subtle, or unintentional discrimination against members of a marginalized group, such as racial or ethnic minority.
Skyna and I decided to interview some students and teachers of color to talk to them about how they experience microaggressions in Danvers High School.
I think when we think of microaggressions, we think of all of the little snubs and jeers that we have in our everyday language, and it can really be either intentional or unintentional.
Microaggressions are subtly racist remarks or comments.
I would say that microaggressions are just the little things that kind of go unnoticed to people who aren't experiencing microaggressions. They're kind of almost like these little things that just get dropped every now and then, and you're like, oh, that wasn't a good thing to say, but people don't notice when they say it. Right. It's just something they've grown up with.
I define microaggression as subtle racist comments that people try not to come across as racist, but they really do at the end.
A microaggression is a behavior or a statement that is usually really subtle and is usually not intended to be racist, but has some sort of underlying tone of racism in it. So the person may not mean to be inappropriate, but it's inappropriate.
They're mostly little things that people just kind of say and they don't realize that that can come off as offensive, or things that they do. I have a lot of friends that would just touch my hair, and I'm like, I wouldn't touch your hair, why are you touching mine? And it just comes off as it's almost like they treat me like I'm kind of this exotic thing, but I'm just another person. I'm just like everybody else at the school.
One that I always think of is constantly mispronouncing someone's name and not taking the time to actually learn how to pronounce that name.
Right.
We don't think anything of it, or we might give that person a nickname because it might be easier, but that's a microaggression.
I think one of the ones, and I know that it's completely incidental when it happens. Sometimes I'll get a parent or someone trying to make conversation with me, and they'll say, oh, Esparza, what's your nationality? And I'll say, oh, Esparza's Mexican. And they'll look at me and say, well, you don't look Mexican, which is a microaggression because there really is no way to look Mexican. I don't know what they expect when they say they look Mexican. And it also sounds kind of like I should feel better that I don't look Mexican, the way that they say it. So it's insulting in either direction.
People asking me to wear my do-rag. People asking me for my brush when I brush my waves. People ask me at what sports I'm good at and stuff like that.
Getting asked to touch my natural hair, just if that is your natural hair or not.
Well, to be honest with you, there's not that many ethnic teachers that work in the school, at least none that or there's a couple that I'm aware of, but other than that, they're predominantly white.
At DHS, there aren't many teachers of color, so I feel like that could be represented a little bit more.
It's a little weird because somebody like me or Almani or Jared or Pedro don't really have anybody to go to that's been through what we've been through when it comes to stuff like that. I don't know, we're just racially profiled, somebody across the street when we're walking on the same side as them. If you're walking past their car, you'll hear the lock click.
It's not as easy for me as a student to just be able to come up to them and share oh my god, kids keep touching my hair, because that's not something that they experience, and it's not something that they would be able to relate to.
For some people, being able to make those connections and have those similarities lets them build relationships and behaviors off of people that they feel they can model. And when those people aren't around to participate, sometimes they don't make the connections that you'd like them to.
Whether or not you mean to offend someone, you cannot determine what someone does or does not consider racist.
It is time to stop claiming ignorance and start making informed and appropriate choices.